Hello, I'm Jack Grady, and on behalf of the Archives and History Committee of the First Baptist Church on the Square in LaGrange, Georgia, we welcome World War II veteran Cliff Kirby, and we thank him for his service to our country and to our church. Cliff, thank you so much for coming and visiting with us today.
Thank you, Jack.
Here we are, May the 16th, 2012. My goodness, 70 years since the beginning of World War II. But I know you have some vivid memories of your experience during those war years. And we just want to chat with you a little bit this morning and ask you to share some of your memories from those days.
Thank you, Jack.
First of all, tell us about your enlistment process. Were you drafted or did you volunteer?
Well, I volunteered first, like most people, as soon as the war broke out. But I got turned down because of my eyesight back then. But then not too much later, I was then drafted. So
they came after you.
They came
okay,
after me
well,
then.
good. They needed you. Yes.
They needed everybody they could get.
Yes.
So
And this was what branch of service?
this was Air Force.
Air Force.
I was in the Air Force
Yes.
Command,
Air Force Command.
the non-flying portion.
I
Ran
see.
the airports and maintained the planes and that
Yes.
type of thing.
Okay. All right. Well, we'll find out a little bit more about that in a moment. I think, so you were in the Air Force, and this was what period of time?
Well, I went in April of 42.
Very early in the war.
So
Pearl Harbor occurred December 7th, 1941, and all of a sudden we all were gearing up
that's right.
for war. And here, so just a few months later is when you enlisted.
Right.
Yes. Okay.
Well,
And you said you volunteered initially,
yes.
but because of the eyesight matter, they delayed that, and then later they came to get you.
That's right.
So-
Exactly.
Okay.
My eyes got better, I guess.
Your eyes got better. That's a good way to look at it. Well, what about your basic training experience? What do you?
I didn't have any, Jack.
Didn't have any now. That was unusual.
Very unusual.
And why was that?
Well, I was originally when I enlisted at Camp Blanding, Florida.
Camp Blanding, Florida.
Near Palatka, Florida. And in the process of going through the lines with the physicals and all that, when you first inducted,
Yes.
all of a sudden the fellow who was working on me turned around and said to his buddy, said, "Hey, we got one." And I didn't know what in the world he's talking about.
We've got one.
We got one.
So he had your attention too, I bet, at that
He
point.
sure did. But it turned out that they've been instructed to find some people with physical training and physical education background. Because they needed them immediately.
So you already had some experience. And
Yes,
what about, you said training as well. So you were at that point a college graduate?
Yes, I graduated from the University of Florida
University of Florida.
in '38 and had a year of graduate work.
Okay.
In 39.
In the field of physical education.
Right.
So they happened to be in need of a person who knew what he was doing with
Yes,
this program of physical education.
that's right. That's what.
So
they were
they
apparently.
immediately assigned you to a base?
Yes, well, I was immediately shipped out from there and ended up at Miami Beach,
Miami Beach.
where the Air Force had taken over all the hotels and so forth down there. And that was a big training field for the Air Force.
They took over the hotels. That's interesting, isn't it?
Every hotel down there was military.
Military.
And
Well,
they
that
didn't-
must have been a welcome duty for some of those guys, I bet, on Miami Beach.
Oh, boy.
Quite a place to be.
Well, what they did, they assigned me immediately. I didn't go with a unit somewhere, they sent me to a small hotel about a block off the beach, and gave me an assignment to go out on the beach, and they had platforms built up for an instructor to get up on the platform, and they'd march the troops in, and we'd put them through the physical training exercise.
Yes.
And then they would go out, and I'd go back a block back up to the hotel for a little while, and then I'd go back on the beach and get on the platform again, and here come another group. So
That is so interesting, yes. Most of us were living in barracks, and here you were in a hotel in Miami Beach.
That's right.
But this was, of course, preliminary, I guess, temporary in a sense. Did they maintain that throughout the World War II period?
Yeah.
They did? Okay.
I think the whole time.
The whole time?
I'm not
during the
real
war.
sure of when they started
Sure.
moving out down there.
And they were training Air Force men. You
That's
were
right.
training them in physical education and managing other aspects of that.
Back in those days, I could do it. I could get up on the platform and lead them in exercises and so forth.
I
I
see.
couldn't now, but and not too long after that, Jack, they called me in and wanted me to apply for officer candidate school, which was also right there on Miami Beach.
Oh, I see.
And so they reassigned me from that beach physical training to go to officer candidate school.
You had a college degree, and you were in the Air Force now, so they came to you and offered you an opportunity to go to officers candidate school. Yeah, that's interesting.
Yeah.
Great.
And it all happened right there on Miami Beach.
Right on Miami Beach. So you went through the officers candidate school there.
Yes,
You graduated and became an officer.
yes.
Okay.
I was a
You-
brand new second lieutenant.
Second lieutenant when you came out of that experience.
That's
Yeah,
right.
good.
Uh,
Well, let me ask you this. During that period of time, did you have any special challenges beyond just learning the way of the military?
Not really.
Not really,
I had
because you were prepared.
I had to adjust myself to the military.
Yes,
I'd never been in the military.
yes.
But I had an unusual experience, I guess, because I was never in basic training. I was assigned immediately to
Immediately, because of your credentials, your expertise in the field.
well, and the need. They had
And
the
they
need.
needed you.
They
Yes,
were pouring people into Miami Beach for training. And
yes,
They
yes,
had an urgent need for it. So,
yes. Where did you go from there, or did you?
well, from after I finished the officers candidate school, I was assigned on a so-called temporary basis to Warner Robins Air Force Base
Oh, in Georgia,
in Georgia,
Warner Robins Air Force Base.
and to train really under the major who was over the physical training and recreation program for the southeastern area airports. And so I spent some time learning under him, and then I had a temporary assignment down to a little airport just south of Lakeland, Florida. I can't even think of the name of it right now,
Lakeland.
but I was down there for several months putting in a program for them.
That wasn't Lackland, was it? I believe that Lackland Air Force Base. That may be in Texas. I'm sorry.
I don't think so, but
Yeah. Okay.
I'm just blank on it right now.
Yeah.
And I wasn't down there very long, and they moved me back up to Warner Robins to be an assistant area director. I've forgotten the title on it, but
You were an officer now, so you were
yeah, I was a second lieutenant,
second lieutenant.
and I reported to a major there at Warner Robins as his
Okay.
assistant.
Mhm.
And we had to go into all the Air Force bases in the southeast.
Oh, the whole Southeast
And,
had responsibility for
and go
wide
in and
area.
help set up a program and help train them and
Mhm.
get it going. And, I assisted this major, and he assigned me to go to this place, that place. And so I really traveled over southeast to different airports.
Yeah, good.
And then after a period of time, I really stayed there longer than I wanted to. I was anxious to get out and get overseas.
You
and
wanted
like
to go
everybody-
overseas. Yes, I can
like
understand that.
Everybody wanted to do their part and so forth.
Sure, of course. And that's why you joined in the Air Force in the beginning.
Right?
Yeah, you expected to be shipped overseas
Oh, yeah.
for some duty there. Well, where did you go from Warner Robins, or did you stay
Well,
there?
I basically stayed there for a good while, and my commanding officer was a major, and both of us wanted to go overseas,
Mhm.
and he finally worked out for me, get an assignment. I'd been in a special training class up in Virginia for about a month, and I hurt my ankle. I sprained an ankle, thought, up there. So I was on crutches. I thought it was temporary.
Mhm.
And I got orders to report to the Kearns, Utah staging area for the Air Force.
A staging area in Utah.
Staging area for Pacific area.
Oh, for the Pacific. You were really
I was headed for somewhere in the Pacific.
preparing for overseas service in the South Pacific.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I don't know what it was. Never did know what.
Never did know because of that sprained ankle.
Well, they put the ankle didn't get any better like most sprained ankles do.
Yes,
And you've played sports and you've sprained ankles, I'm
Sure.
sure.
yes.
But this one didn't get well. And so they finally put me in the hospital. All this time they were getting ready to assign us somewhere in the Pacific area.
Mhm.
And it didn't get any better. So they turned around and shipped me back to my original base at Warner Robins.
Oh, I see.
And when I was in the hospital at Warner Robins, there was a nice young captain medical officer. I'll never forget him. I don't remember his name. But when he came in and looked at the x-rays and all that stuff, and he just turned around and said, "This man's got a separation of the ankle joint."
A separated ankle joint. The whole ankle joint was separated.
And that's the reason it wouldn't
And
get
they,
well.
and they and you thought it was sprained. Yes.
And they ended up putting, back in those days, put a cast on, just under the knee, a big old
Plaster of Paris.
plaster Paris.
Yes. Okay.
I had to wear that thing for 6 months. So.
6 months. My goodness.
But in the meantime, I'd finally gotten shipped to another assignment up at Patterson Field in Ohio.
Okay, Patterson Field.
That's-
Was that
It,
near
it
Wright?
became
Wright.
it became part of Wright-Patterson.
Oh yeah, it's now called Wright-Patterson.
Wright-Patterson.
Okay.
And it was just a few miles away from Patterson Field, just a few miles away from Wright Field.
Yes.
Wright Field was the big headquarters of the Air Force Command.
I've heard your friend and mine, Guy Longshore, speak of Wright-Patterson Air Force Base.
Have you?
Yes.
Yeah.
He knows it well.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I was over at the smaller base, Patterson Field to start with. I had responsibility for the physical training and recreation for the troops.
So that was a big base, wasn't it?
Well, Patterson Field was smaller. Wright Field was a big base.
Okay.
Patterson Field was not a large base, but while I was up there, they combined the management and called it Wright-Patterson.
Okay, that's when that happened. That's
Yeah.
during World War II. That's
Yeah.
interesting.
But then I had responsibility for the program for both Wright and Patterson Fields.
Both Air Force bases,
Yes.
the combined Air Force bases.
Right.
Wright-Patterson Air Force
And that's where I stayed for the rest of my career.
You were there, and you were responsible at that time then for all of the physical training and
Recreation
programs.
theaters and entertainment in theaters.
So it was much more than just physical education
Oh,
or
yeah.
physical training. It was all of the recreation programs.
Of course, we arranged for bands.
Entertainment of all kinds, I
All
guess, for the
kinds.
troops there.
And I heard this conversation about on Wright-Patterson Field, we had a number of men who were pilots, qualified pilots, but were assigned to base jobs. But they had to get in a certain number of hours of flight time every month
Oh, I see. Yeah.
to maintain their skills and so forth.
Yes.
And I got to thinking one day, those guys are getting in those planes just flying around, just killing time.
Mm-hmm.
Why couldn't they go? At that time, I had just gotten Benny Goodman Band, who was in those days was a big band, big time. And,
Yeah.
he had played an engagement about 60 miles away, and I was able to contact his manager, business manager, and did arrange for him to come to Wright Field to give a performance for the troops.
Yes.
And so I got the idea, well, I've got Benny Goodman one time. Why couldn't I get some more bands? And then I thought about those pilots just getting up and flying around somewhere. And
Yes.
I went to see the commanding general and got an appointment and told him what I was thinking. And I said, why couldn't they go to Chicago and pick up a band, bring it in here to entertain the troops if they got to fly somewhere?
Sure.
And he thought for a minute, said, I don't see why not. So, from there on, we developed five
Made those pilots happy too, I'll bet.
Oh, yeah, they enjoyed that, too. But I had band after band, Sammy Kaye.
Well, you made your troops happy there at the base, I know.
They loved it.
Bringing in entertainment like that, first line entertainment.
Yeah, it was top flight stuff.
Yes, sounds
And it
interesting.
was really interesting to me, old country boy.
Yeah. Now, you must have been advanced in rank by that time, were you?
Oh, I was, along the way while I was up there, I got to the rank of captain.
Captain,
But that was my highest rank before discharge.
I see. Okay.
So I went from boat private to captain.
Okay, you started out buck private and ended up as a captain. Well, that's commendable of you, and certainly reflects well on your military service.
I was fortunate. So.
Well, now, when you were doing all of these things, and it was an education in itself, it wasn't, did you use this maybe in your future life? What other,
Well, yes.
could you use some of these experiences in your life after World War II, after the military?
Very definitely. First, I had a management experience.
Management experience,
I had a
okay.
pretty good sized staff.
Yes.
People running several theaters and recreation.
They all reported to you?
Yes.
Yeah, I see, okay.
And I had several staff members and some real talented people.
Yes,
But we would bring in the bands. We'd arrange for a group of the girls from downtown to come out for dances and all types of entertainment.
Cliff, as you think back, what would you say would be at least one of, I know there were several, but one of your most memorable experiences while you were in service?
Well, I guess the first one is the experience of getting turned down
Oh,
because
yeah.
of my ankle.
That was a disappointment, I know.
that
You were ready to go,
Yeah, and,
psyched up in every way.
yeah, all young men back then, I think, felt like they had a
Sure,
duty to go. and
Right.
everything, like you did.
yes.
But I never got any further.
Mhm.
I did
But-
have some great experiences.
But you
though.
played an important role.
And I learned a lot in the process.
Yes.
One of the things which I say, learned that you have to think outside the box sometimes.
Think outside the box.
You got to think, why can't we do something like
Yes.
this? You know?
Like bringing in these top-line bands, for example. Yeah. Thinking outside the box. That's good.
That developed just because I just got thinking that those guys have got to put in so many hours of flight time just flying around nowhere.
Yes.
Why couldn't they fly up somewhere and pick up a band?
Sure.
And thank Commanding General agreed with me, so that's what we did.
Yes. Well, Cliff, I appreciate so much your willingness to share with us some of these memories and these experiences that you went through during those. My goodness, you started in 1942, and you went all the way through to, what, 1946?
Yeah.
You were discharged in 1946.
It's August of 46.
Yeah. Well, so it was a little more than 4 years that you served your country in World War II. Well, that's commendable, and we thank you so much for that service, and we thank you for your willingness to talk a little bit with us about it. We're going to have this recording, which incidentally is being conducted and produced by our friend Paul Barnes here at our church. And Paul is going to make some copies of this recording, and he's going to give a couple of them to the Archives and History Committee for their use up in the Heritage Room of our church, so that members of our church can, next week, next month, next year, in the years to come, even generations to come, I guess, if they want to, they can check out these tapes, these DVDs, and get your story as to your experience during World War II. And I know it's going to be meaningful to them, but we also want you to have a copy for your own use.
Well, I appreciate that.
And you probably will share that, I'm sure, with your family, your daughter.
Oh, absolutely.
Yes. So, but we thank you. We thank you for this, and appreciate your continued involvement with our church.
Thank you very much, Jack.
Can I comment on your age?
Yes.
At this point? I think it's wonderful that a 95-year-old gentleman, Captain Air Force, retired captain in the Air Force, and a longtime citizen of LaGrange, Georgia, can come like this today and sit and talk with us about your World War experience. Okay, thank you so much, Cliff.
Appreciate it, Jack. Thank you very much.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.